Hello and welcome to our live stream of API 102, Building Workflows with APIs. We are excited to have you join us for this insightful session where we'll be exploring the power of APIs in enabling cross-country collaboration. My name is Aminos and I'll be your host for the event. In just a few moments, we'll be hearing from two Postman student leaders from different countries who will assemble here to share their knowledge and experience on building workflows with APIs. In today's fast-paced business environment, streamlining workflows and automating processes has been more critical. And with APIs, you can take your workflow automation to the next level by enabling cross-country collaboration and unlocking new opportunities from growth. So whether you are a seasoned API pro or just starting out, this session is for you. You will learn how to leverage APIs to build efficient workflows, connect with other like-minded professionals, and get your all the doubts clear over here by our respective speakers. I want to remind everyone that the previous challenge we launched is a week-long challenge and it's not too late to participate. If you missed the previous session of API 101, we encourage you to check it out and take the challenge to showcase your skills. Not only will you have the opportunity to earn goodies, but you will also be contributing to the larger developer community. We welcome innovative and creative ideas from every corner of the world, and we are excited to see what you come up with. The challenge is open to all levels of experience and all backgrounds, and we welcome innovative and creative ideas from every corner of the world. So don't hesitate to take the challenge and show us what you are capable of. We'll be announcing the winners in the last of this series, but for now, sit back, relax, and get ready to discover the power of cross country collaboration with APIs. Let's get started. I welcome Mithul Shahryar to the stream and requesting him to explain or introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aminos, for this introduction. Okay, so let me start with this API 102. Okay, so today, I think I can start, right, Aminos? Okay, great. Okay, so let me start. So today, thank you so much, guys, for joining this session. So today we are going to know about this API 102 session, which is like building workflows with APIs. So can you move to the next slide? Okay, so starting with who I am. So I am, people do know me like Mithul Shahryar or something, but my real name is Shahryar almost like a Mithul, so it's a big name. so I don't use it generally in link in Twitter or so on. So okay, so you can surely search for me like using Mithul Shahriar and you will get it. And currently, I'm the founder of LWM community, it's the Learn with Mithul community, and also the Postman student leader from Bangladesh. Okay, so can we move to the next slide? Okay, so today our mission is like just let's just read it. Just what is happening. Like you have been hired by professional music blogger to create a workflow that helps them discover new music. Okay, so you're working with music, like I think you guys are kind of familiar with music, and you guys do hear a lot of music, right? So today it is going to be an awesome thing for you working with Spotify, right? So you will use the Spotify web API to let the blogger search for songs they like and find similar music. Okay, so to the next slide. So what we are going to learn is basically making API requests with auth. Okay, so you are going to learn a lot about auth and also calling a real world REST API. And I think of you will heard this thing that this REST API, this kind of term. So you will get to know about it today. And also chaining multiple API calls to build a workflow. So as you have seen that we are working with the workflow today. So yeah, obviously, and also visualizing a response data. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Okay. So today, this is what we are going to do. First of all, we are going to do the thing like intro to auth in APIs. Okay, so you are going to know about it. Then OAuth explain, and then intro to Postman workflows and try it out. So you will see me like covering this intro to auth in APIs and OAuth explain. And after that, we will have Anik Javed. So he will basically come in and he will show you how it is happening, working with the workflows and so on. So can we move to the next slide? Okay. Okay, so starting with this, the question. So I mentioned this auth. So what is this auth basically, right? And why do APIs use it? Okay, so just giving you a hint about it. Like you're working with APIs and so on. Previously, you have seen this kind of, maybe you have attended the API 1.1 session or any kind of basic session or something. If you have the minimum basic of the API, you will be concerned with the fact that the security issue, right? So someone is want to have a joke, or someone want to use some kind sort of link using API. Not everyone should get access to that link. Okay, so you are a part of you have an organization and you have kind of just talking about like Google Cloud, sorry, Google Drive link or something. Okay, so if someone if you just create a link to share some with someone, so not everyone should get access to editing access or those kind of thing, right? So you have to ensure this auth power. There's something like authentication and so on. So let's just move to the next slide and we can know much more about it, like what is this basically. Okay. Okay, so introducing auth. So authentication and authorization. So these two basic terms are kind of you need to know. So authentication is what? So basically verifying identity, right? Is authentication. Like assuming like you have ordered a parcel, right? Like from a Zomato or something like that. So right now, what will happen is there will be a person, delivery guy, and he will come in and he will try to kind of confirm that if you are the person or not. Okay, so this is kind of authentication. But what is authorization? This is like granting permission. Okay, so that is like your father has created a bank account and there's a lot of money, assuming. Okay, so now after being after you are of age of 21, now you will get access to that money. Okay, so now this authorization is granting permission. So these two terms, one is for verifying identity if you are not, if you are the person or not, something like that. And also authorization is like granting permission to some sort of data. It can be data or so on. Just as we are working with this APIs, so it will be obviously working with APIs authentication. So if you read it, like authentication and authorization are the first line of defense for the API. Obviously, you have to identify that the person who is trying to get access to the API or data, if he should get access to it or not. So this kind of thing. And protecting the server from malicious requests and securely sharing sensitive data. Okay, so can we move to the next slide? Okay, so I think it would have been great if you can kind of move us from this screen because people might not actually see for now. Should we do that? or I should share my, I should start continue. Yeah, okay, I think now it looks better. Okay, so talking about the authentication and authorization. Okay, so now we have two images you can see. ID, and it is like under 21, and also ID official 21 plus. So you can see here we have mentioned like authentication identifies that you are who you say you are. So as I mentioned, like your father actually created a bank account, and there is a kind of assuming like 1 lakh taka or 1 lakh rupee or something like that. So now what happens is that after a certain age, they come up and they want to ensure if you are that person or not. So at that time, so it was provided that you have to share your ID, and also you have to be kind of minimum of under 20 or so on. So he will, the bank people will come and he will ensure that, yeah, you are the person. Okay, so you can see authentication identifies that you are who you say or not. Then the authorization verifies again is like what permissions you have. So after that, you have been now the bank person know that you are that person. You have your father created this account for you. Now the authorization part comes in, like if you can withdraw the money or not. If you have been given the power of kind of withdrawing or kind of adding some money, depositing some money or not. So this kind of thing is about the authorization. So I mentioned it previously as well. So right now we just mentioned within with an example. Okay, so can we move to the next slide? Okay, so now we have come to know about this auth and authorization and authentication. And now we have to know like how we connect auth in APIs. Okay, so first of all, basically what would happen is like we have to manually actually provide username and password. Okay, so back in like previously like 5 to 10 years or something, if you have used Facebook or any other platform, you have to actually put your username and password. So you can see back at that time, what you have to use is like it was simple HTTPS auth method using username and password credentials to verify users. Okay, so obviously it was good, but if you are going to use HTTP, and that is going to be a problem, it will not be secure. So this kind of issues, and also you when logging in, you just don't want to share your password every time. Okay, and also assuming that you are using Facebook. Okay, but if you want to use another uh, if you want to play a game, now you have to provide your Facebook password. You don't want to use it, right? Generally you don't want to share it. So what happened is basically working with this username and password, this actually was not kind of having some issues, like people doesn't want to do it. So after that, what we have come up is we're working with API key. So what is this API key is like, when you are going to logging in or using you want to use an API, so automatically an API key is generated. So whenever you want to log in or you are using this kind of thing, if you're actually using your browser, you will see sometimes you're logged in GitHub or something, and you just you don't log out, and sometimes you just log in and you are not actually logged out by that time, and you can access a lot of things, and your username and password remains the same. Sorry, not the password, your username remains the same. So this API key, and also if you inspect your browser, you will find these API keys or some kind of credentials as well. So API key is some kind of security option, and API key, we will know much more about it after this slide as well. So just we let to know about like OAuth, just we get to know about it. Let's start. So OAuth is right now the most sophisticated auth method we are currently using. So if you are going to use any platform right now, you can see you can sign up for using your Google Cloud account, or you can sign up using your Facebook, or you can sign up using your Microsoft account and so on. So you don't need to create your username and password. Okay, so the you don't need to create username and password. So previously I mentioned that was a problem, like kind of security issues and so on. So people don't want to share it. So what happened right now, you can see that right now we just share our if you're logged in using your Google Cloud account, or if you're logged in using your Microsoft account, just you can just place it, yeah, you want to sign up with that platform using this your Google Cloud account or Microsoft and so on. So that is kind of you can do it. So this OAuth is actually there for a particular reason. The reason is simple. It won't get like if you want, assuming that it is a startup called machine learning 101. Okay, So you want to do a course in that platform. Okay, now you have signed up using your Google Cloud account. So that platform will use an API to get some data from your Google Cloud, but they will not get all of the data from your Google Cloud account. This is the beauty of OAuth. Okay, so there is a term called scope. Okay, so if you are familiar with scope, you will know about it. What does it mean? So scoping means like the excess of how much access you do have. So OAuth, this new one, has created this thing for us, so you don't need to share all of your information so that a company can get all of your data and track you. So you don't need that. What you can do, you can just use this OAuth, and certainly you don't need to actually uh, worry about all of this. So can we move to the next slide? Okay, so as I mentioned, the API keys. So when you are working with API, an API keys is generated, right? So you can see it is basically an alphanumeric string that provide basic access to the API services and data. Okay, so there is also a benefit. Okay, so you can see obviously it is alphanumeric, but these allow developers to impose rate limit and revoke access in a QoS violation. Okay, so what happens is like now you are working with API and an API key was created. Now, if you violate any rules, okay, what the company or organization can do, it can actually restrict your API key so that now you cannot access that platform as okay. So this API key has created an organization or us that kind of benefit that we can now create, give some restriction or some benefit as well to the API keys. Okay, so we are not creating this API keys manually; it is created, not manually. Sorry, automatically it is getting created. So can we move to the next slide? Okay, so as I mentioned, OAuth, this is the current thing that is where we are using OAuth basically in everywhere right now, because right now most of the people have Google Cloud, Google, Microsoft, and this kind of accounts. So basically, we use this OAuth while creating a new account or so on. So can we move to the next slide? Okay, so this is what I mentioned previously. Okay, so you can see here it is DoorDash. You are going to sign in or sign up. Okay, so you can see what OAuth means. It is basically meaning open authorization, and it is kind of is an authorization framework. Okay, open authorization. So it requires authorization from a user to give access to personal data without asking for the user's password. Okay, so when you are signing up, you don't need to share a password for the you don't need to share a Google Cloud password, right? Sorry, Google password or Microsoft password or Apple password, right? So you don't need to share a password, but certainly the company or organization can get access to your data, right? So the first issue that was kind of username and password, we don't need to deal with it, right? After that, instead here, this task is delegated to access tokens. Okay, so now here it is kindly working with tokens, some sort of tokens, not the password. It has replaced the password. Okay, so these tokens allow apps to access certain parts of a user's data, certain parts of a user data. So this is important. So not all of the data is going to the company so that they can track just a few data like kind of your name, your email, or your profession, this kind of thing. And obviously when you are going to sign up, I've multiple time I've used GitHub, and when I was using some sort of organization or something like that, so they were signing up using GitHub. So they actually asked me like this sort of data is going to be shared with the organization. So you will see this kind of thing prompt, this kind of prompt like this API will get access to your name, ID, and so on. So this thing is basically maintained with OAuth. Okay, so currently this OAuth is everywhere in our industry. Okay, so you could see this thing, but previously you might have seen just the email and password, but we have both options right now: sign in, sign up using our other accounts as well. So you just don't need to memorize all of the password, or you just don't need to worry about the password and so on. Just you can use either this kind of OAuth. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Okay, so here like a valid key. So what is this valid key basically? So if you have just for the example, just we are using a sports car. So if you have a car, okay, so basically there is a master key and a valid key. Okay, so the master key has the access to everything, like you can go on a long drive and so on. But a valid key is kind of valid for certain kind of thing. Like if you actually provide the valid key to a, a person that just to move your car to the desired area, so you can just give it to him. But you cannot use a valid key just to for a long drive, or just you're opening the trunk and so on. You cannot do that. So why are we talking about this a valid key? As I mentioned about the access token, right? So the password, when you're using the password, like if you have Google account and you have a password, obviously. So your Google account will have almost all of the information right now, or Microsoft or all other accounts. So, but if you're creating an account using kind of this OAuth. Huh? Okay, so what happens is certain part of your information will be there, right? So as they have the access to only the valid key, that organization or access token, the organization have kind of certain access to the access token. That's why they are going to access a certain part of the information. So just like that, if you're comparing with the kind of a sports card, the master key and also the valid key. So the master key is the password, and obviously the valid key is the access token. So that's how we are going to kind of compare it. So just I think you can just go to the next slide. We don't have that much to read from here. Yeah. Okay, so there's no issue. We can go to the next slide. Okay. Okay, so as we have mentioned, username and password, API keys, and then we have talked about OAuth. Right now, so OAuth had just to know about a brief like history lesson. Like so, OAuth has two versions basically. So OAuth 1 and 1A and OAuth 2.0. So OAuth 1 grew rapidly and but used digital signatures that are complicated to implement. So basically there was some issues with OAuth. So there was a lot of access given, and OAuth 2 came up simplifying those issues. Okay, so you can see OAuth 2 simplified the process by using HTTPS protocol instead of signatures. So as OAuth 1 was using digital signatures, OAuth 2 just uses HTTPS. So you can see right now, if you go to any browser, just most of the websites actually do use HTTPS. So OAuth 2 is kind of getting integrated to all of those. So and not backwards compatible with OAuth. Also nowadays, when people refer to OAuth, they actually mean OAuth 2.0, not OAuth 1, because OAuth 1 was using digital signatures and it was some sort of issues, but OAuth 2 has solved the problem. So after a while, you are going to know about like some sort of term like HM, AC, SH, signature, so on. So these kind of things are complicated, but we just don't want to talk about it. But still, OAuth, you can know OAuth 1 uses this signature to authorize super secure, and OAuth 2 uses token over HTTPS better developer experience. So HTTPS as it is used a lot, so OAuth 2 is very much compatible with us, and right now we are using OAuth 2 in our industry. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, so now here is an interesting part. Do the OAuth dance. Okay, so are you actually there to dance with me? Okay, so let's have some dancing move with us. Okay, so the dancing move. Okay, so here we have a client, and this you can assume it a application. Okay, so now resource owner is user. So you are a user, and there's a client application. So application and a user. So basically, what are we going to do first of all? So authorization request, there will be authorization request when you are going to access to a certain application and so on. So there will be the authorization request as first. Okay, then it will be like, can I view your Google accounts? Okay, so the client will ask us, right? Can I view your Google account or contacts? Sorry, can I view your Google contacts? So it will ask us. So then what we will do? We will give the authorization grant code. So it is okay. You can access our Google, my Google contacts. Okay. Now what the client will do, you can see the color. You can just refer to things by color. The this one, the client part is basically you have the white color, and the resource owner has the orange color. Okay, so now you can see authorization grant code. So it is saying that please give me an access token. Okay, so now as we have given our client an access over our Google contacts, so now it has contacted Google authorization server. So to get some kind of access token to get the Google contacts. So this is how it works. So it is told that please give me an access token. Now the authorization server is giving it the access token. It's like, here you go, right? Now this access token is taken and please give me the user's contact. And now the client has got the access token, and then they are going to get the resource again. So what happened basically? First of all, you came up and you went to a client, you want to use it. Just mentioning a game. Just I'm not going to mention any game name. If you're going to play a game, sometimes you will see right now you don't need to pay for the game. What you have to do, you have to provide your actually Google account contacts and so on and so forth. So they don't charge anything. Previously what would happen, there was no nothing like that much of these Google ads or so on. So there, that time what would happen is you have to pay in your Google actually Play Store, and you have to download a game. So yeah, when I was a child I used to do it, but right now I don't need to do it, because the companies or the organizations do earn money using actually running the Google ads. Okay, so first they, what they do, they actually take your access to your kind of folders or your Google account and so on. You can't even install the game you unless you give them the access. You can see, I've seen this multiple times while playing some games in Google Cloud, sorry, Google Play Store. And so this is how it works. So I am going to play a game, and they are going to tell me like, authorization request, can I view your Google contacts, or can I view your actually images and so on. Then I'm going to give him the access, authorization grant code. Okay, and then it is going to process. Okay, so it is not only for the server purpose, right? If it doesn't need to be only for the, you have to go to the this kind of happening in Google or server so on. Your own mobile is also using APIs. Okay, so when you are going to permit your location or actually file location access or so on, there are also APIs. They are actually following this OAuth 2. You have to give them certain permission that, yeah, you can use this folder, or you can use this images or so on. But an organization cannot certainly access all of the data of your phone, right? So there is this OAuth, which is always actually protecting us in all of the time, right? So you've come to know like how it is working. Like, can I view your Google contacts? So then it is given, we have given it the access, then it has taken the access token, and then it has accessed our Google contacts. And yeah, here you go. So this is how it is done, this OAuth dance. Although there was no dance involved, you didn't dance or I didn't dance. But yeah, obviously, because it is kind of moving from here to here, here to here, so almost like a dance. So can we move to the next slide? Okay, so again, do the OAuth dance. So right now, what I'm mentioning, you are going to know a lot, much more in the actually practical session. So although I am going to mention it, so if you talk about the authorization code here, you can see the grant type. So here the grant type is authorization code. So you can see the optimization is for the server and web or mobile. So the server is for the kind of back end, and web or mobile is for the front end. So sorry for that. So when you're using both the front end and back end, you have to give this authorization code access. So when to use for the apps involving back end server, that can hide a client secret. So generally backends do actually hide the client secret, but you cannot hide your information or secret in front end, because obviously if you're using Google actually Chrome, you can actually go to the inspect, and you can see a lot of details from, if there is some details in the inspect, sorry, in the front end, you are going to get it. But if some information are in the backstage or back end, you cannot sure actually get them. Okay, so web or mobile, it is for the front end. So only when it is web or mobile, so we are going to use a grant type of authorization code PKCE. So before that, you can simply say it is like legacy, where what was happening is like, now prefer to use authorization code with PKCE for front end only apps. So but previously we were implicitly using it. Also the password is first party apps. For the security reasons, this should only be used with apps made by the service itself, first party app. So when you're using your Google account or so on and so forth, you have to use your password, right? So these things are authorization code, or these kind of things are just telling you like when to use which kind of thing or access, when to use which kind of grant type. Okay, so you're using password when you're accessing a app or accessing a account and so on. you are going to access the whole thing. So you're doing that when you are going to actually handle the backend and front end. Also, you have to use the authorization code. And when you are only handling the front end, you have to use authorization code with PKC. And client credentials is for the server to server. When you are talking between server to servers, you have to use this client credential. So you will know when you are actually working in the industry, you will know a lot about these kind of terms and you have to use it. So can we move to the next slide? Okay, so do the OAuth dance in Postman. So as we have mentioned the OAuth dance twice in the slides. So I mentioned about the grant types, right? So you can see here in the authorization code when my one of the speakers will, one of the speakers, Anik will actually mention, or he will show you the authorization code type. Okay, so he will show you like authorization code with PKC, implicit, password credential, client credential. So as I have mentioned, when to use which kind of authorization code. Now it will be easier for you to decide which authorization code is needed for us. Okay, so all of these are actually use OAuth, and under OAuth we have these kind of almost the 5 type of authorization code. So you know now what is OAuth. You know now what kind of OAuth is used in where, and also you know why we are using OAuth rather than using our name and password, and you also know uh, how to use OAuth in Postman, because now you will see how to use. But obviously, I've shown you in this slide. Like this is how it will look like: enter grant type and credentials, and then get access token. So this is the grant type and credential, like authorization code. And after that, you can see into the here grant type, and you can see authorization code, and you can change it to others, right? So okay, so that was it, I guess. Can we move to the next slide? I hope it is almost the end. Okay, yeah, one slide left. So what does these have to do with workflows? So we have come to know about OAuth. We have come to know firstly about the auth, then how this auth is working, authorization, authentication, and also username, password, API keys, OAuth, how much we can give the access, why we are using OAuth, and so on. Now, why we have come to know so on about auth and OAuth in while we are using just with the workflows, with Spotify or so on. Why? So here is like almost every API you come in contact with will have some form of authentication and or authorization. So when you're using any kind of API, eventually when we are going to use with the Spotify API, we have to handle this authentication and authorization. Okay, and or that means we might need to handle both or one. Authentication is what? I think you know. What is authorization? I think you know right now. Okay, so again, this information is imperative to creating today's workflow. Okay, so why? Now this information about the authentication or auth, we are going to use it because you will see right now in the practical session that how we are going to use this authentication in the grant type. Okay, so I think can you move to the next slide? Yeah, so that was it from my side, and I hope Aminos will be here, and yeah, thank you so much for being with me. Yeah,
Cool. Do you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
I mean, you are really awesome. I was, literally sitting back and having my, the stream on my phone, and really, I mean, it's really awesome, watching you. And you have mentioned a lot, really a lot about Anik and practical. And I mean, let's do it, man. So let me
Yeah,
just bring
sure.
out Anik.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, bye
So
then.
Anik is up. Hello, Anik.
Hello, Anush. Hello, everyone. So this is Anik Javed, and thank you, Mizul, for
Okay, cool.
mentioning me a lot.
Sorry. Yeah, cool.
Am I
Right.
live?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So thank you, Mizul, for mentioning me, and let's dive into workflow practical part. So yeah, Aminos, can you go to next slide?
For sure. I mean, I'm backing stage Mithul as of now, and I think Anik will take up all the practical session and all the handles, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mithul.
Okay, so this is me, Anik Javed. I've been featured among top 15 open source contributor for Docker. And apart from that, I am also a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, right now Postman Student Leader. I've also established a community of my own, which is called as Spice. And yep, I think so. I should keep that brief. And yep, Emnos, can you move to next slide? So let's recap what Mitchell has talked about. So basically, what we are going to do, we are just going to create a workflow in which we are going to discover new music, and that would be for just say anyone who wants to get types of song that he likes, and for his blog, for his website, anything, anywhere, he can use that API. So we'll be using firstly we'll be using Spotify API, then talking about OAuth, and lastly creating workflows in Postman. So I mean also I think so I should be presenting now. Yeah, so this is the basic workflow that we're going to follow. That's the first we're going to get the access token. Then there will be from that token we'll be fetching track ID, and that track will be making recommendation for us. And yep,
Cool. I mean, they all get the overview of it. I think let's get into the hands sessions, right? Hands-on. And
sure.
if I think, can you share your screen and
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
present loud. Cool.
sure.
Meanwhile, folks, follow Mithul. I'll drop all the links on the chat, and I'll ask Mithul to do that. So,
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so folks, let's dive into the workflow creation stuff. So, firstly, when we are talking about Spotify API, then we have to check its documentation. For that, we will be going to Spotify developer, and yeah. So this is the website from which we'll be starting off. And firstly, we'll be checking their documentation, web API. So right now, as you can see, we are talking about tracks. Like we have to get the recommendations of the track. So there in the reference tag, you can see a subsection called as track, and you can see as we are getting as we wanted recommendations. So the documentation of Spotify is superb. You can easily find a lot of things here. So most of the starters. Uh, I would say like if they want to start reading some documentation, do give Spotify documentation a chance. So as you can see here for the get request, when we want to get the recommendations, we have required fields by the name of seed artists, seed genres, and then seed tracks. So as we are looking for seed tracks, we will be requiring a Spotify ID for a specific track. As you can see here, there is no possible way to get to basically get an ID. So we'll be looking at other stuff in the documentation so we can get the ID for a song. So where we can find not in the albums, artists, we'll be moving down, and there you can see there's a search, and in that section you'll be seeing that this request will not be requiring any ID. Instead, it would be returning us an ID. And sorry for that. And the required parameters for this request are basically a search query, which would be anything: the name of the artist, the name of the track, uh, the place where that track was recorded, and stuff like that. And then there's another in which we have to specify that. which kind of stuff we are basically giving in the response. So for this, you can see that we will be going to Postman for that, and sorry for that. And uh, let me have some water first.
For sure.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So I think so. I don't have any water right now with me, so I'll be proceeding without water. So, okay, let's move to the Postman and see what we can do there.
No worries, Anik. If you wanna have some time, then no worries.
No, I think so. I can survive 1 hour, I guess, but
Okay.
no problem. Okay,
No worries if
so
you yeah, cool.
yeah, yeah. So as you can see, there's a workspace by the name of Spotify recommendation that I've created. So that's easy stuff. You can just go to workspaces and then create your own workspace, and you can find it there. So once you have created your workspace, then you are going to add a request, and for that I would be giving it a name of get track. And for the URL, you can see here we are getting the URL. Basically, it's api.spotify.com/v1, and this would be our basically the base URL on which we would be working. So let me copy that. Okay, and yep, I think so. We should let it fire first. Okay, so what you see here is like no token provided. So what does this mean? That we are not authorized to check this request. And why we are not authorized? Because we are going to talk about the OAuth here. So basically, what we will be doing, what would be our plan of action, will be that we will be fetching authentication IDs from uh, these Spotify the Spotify document, the Spotify account. So for what you have to do is you just need to go to Spotify developer account. So as I'm already logged in, you will just have to fill some random stuff and you'll be okay with that. This is the dashboard that you are gonna get. There you have to create an app, and there you can provide its name as Postman. Get recommendations in the description. This is just a random stuff. You don't have to do a lot about that. And the other thing is the redirect URL. So what you need to do is you have to basically see that how this URL is gonna work. So for that, what we are gonna do is we are gonna just go to this authorization. Okay. So there you can find the authorization code. So what this authorization code is, basically it's just defining the workflow that we are gonna have in real time. So you can see here that basically the whole thing that Mittal also discussed about. and it's giving us step-by-step process of how you can use OAuth in your APIs. So this URL you're gonna get from your workspace, and when you're gonna go to your workspace, you can see that right now we are having no authentication stuff. So what we need is we need an OAuth 2.0. And now you can see that the URL, the callback URL, which we're gonna fill it here. So basically, this URL, what it is, it's basically, as you can see here in. Let's make it big for you. So as you can see that there's a request authorization access data from the application which user has to access, and then user has to provide a specific authentication token. And once that is provided, you just need to then the Spotify account service do the stuff. It just verifies, and if that token is valid, it just returns a response to user. So this is the callback URL which we're gonna just copy from here, and then we're just gonna post it here. And yeah. Okay, so now you can see you have created an app with the Spotify. What you need to do is you need to check for this stuff. And here you can see that you have to complete, firstly, you have to enter a token name. You can add any name. So I'll be adding token ID. Um, then basically we have, as you can see, there are two tabs like client ID. I'm just gonna copy that, paste it here. Now you can see a warning here. What does this warning mean? Basically, the postman is saying that you need to store this ID in a variable. So what we can do here, and this is the one of the coolest feature of postman, that I can set it as variable. I can make it a new variable, and what I can say is that client ID, and the scope that I'm gonna select is of the collection. This it would be only available in this collection. Uh, then there's a client secret as well. You can copy that here and paste it here, and you can create its client secret. You can set the variable as well. Okay, so this is the we have done in that this part, and what we need to check is like we have to deal with this authentication URL and access token URL. So what we need to do here is we just want to go to the authorization code flow, and there we can see the following steps. Okay, so what you can see here is like basically what we will be, how we are gonna send our token, and like how we're gonna get the token in real time. So basically, you can see here is like this is the request object that we're gonna send. So this is the URL that we need to put in the authentication URL, and then there is an access. Let me close that. Access token URL. So you can see that request access token, and there you can see that HTTP accounts.spotify.com/API/token. So basically, these are the two URLs that you can find in the Spotify documentation. We are done with these two parts as well, and let's deal with the scope. So basically, scope is not that much necessary. Like you can get token without that as well. So before moving on, I just need to go to our track get track, and there I need to put some variables because like you can see here in the search part we need to put two we need basically required two. First one was the search query and the other one was the type. So what I can do here is I can just make it uh, yep. So V1, and there, as you know that if we want to send some parameters to a specific request, we can just add them here, and then I can add. So here at the search query, which is Q, I need to add. Basically, I can add anything. I can add the name of the song, or I can add name of the artist. Let's go with the name of song first. As I'm a very big Taylor Swift fan, so I'm gonna go for that first. And then in the type, I need to add. So as you can see in the documentation, they have given that can add. You are only allowed values of these. You're only allowed following values. So on the basis of type, our research response would be delivered. So as we are going for the track recommendation, I'm going to choose track for that. And but still, as you all know, that we don't have any request token, but we're going to fire that. Let's see what happens. And yep, no token provided. So what I can do here is I can just like click the access token. And now what it's saying basically now the authentication, the OAuth part is running, and when I verify the authentication from Spotify, uh, I'll be delivered with the uh, access token. So this is the access token, or I can just like use access token, and that has been added into my no. Okay, let me get that again. And okay, so basically the token is fetched. I just need to use the token. Token is added, and yeah, let's go to the tracks and let's see what we get now. Okay, so what's saying it's a bad URL, like I'm not able to send the correct URL, and why is not that happening? Because like I think so I messed up here. We are just putting the same values here. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that we have got the URL, but we are having another issue with the authorization stuff. So I have to figure out that first, like where we are having the problem. Hmm. Okay, so the thing that I missed is instead of me, I have to put search here. Yeah. So apologies for that. And yeah, so right now you can see that we are fetching the results. Let me make it big for you. So you can see the first search that we get is Taylor Swift. Uh, it's the type artist, and then there are a lot of fields. You can see the countries as well. Obviously, we know don't need a lot of that data like that. So we're just gonna go and make our search smaller. So firstly, what we can do is we are just gonna convert this into a variable, so we don't have to write it again and again. Okay, and there you can see it's set to base URL. And now what we are gonna do, we are gonna play with our search parameter, that's Q. So as you can see in the documentation, as it's saying that the search parameter can have album, artist, track, year, and other stuff. And we can even put multiple uh, search queries there as well. So what if I wanted to define my search and go with track, let's get this, and then artist, Taylor Swift. Let's see what we get in response. Okay, so as you can see, we are getting a response, and yep, and it's even. Let me see where is the content song. It could be here somewhere. Mhm. Anyways, yeah, you can see that the name of song is Welcome to New York. So basically, what we have done is we have basically authorized our app to the Spotify OAuth, and then we have just make a search query. And if you have like completed up till now, then you have done the most difficult part of the workshop. So what we need to do is we just want to play with the data now. Just want to work on the recommendation stuff. So right now we are getting the track. That's good. And what I need to do is
Cool. Before getting to the recommendation part, I just need to
sure,
say announce one thing. If you do have folks, if you do have really any kind of queries, any kind of doubts with the middle part as well, and with the hands-on part, as you can already see, we got the 200 response, and it's okay response, and we are getting the data. Anik is actually going very good, right? So just let us know if you do have any queries. We would happy to answer it.
sure.
Cool. Thank you
We
so
can
much,
just
Anik.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can wait for like 1 minute or like any time if anybody wants to ask. I'm here.
No worries. You can continue. We'll take the questions
Sure,
at the very last.
sure. Just let me
Cool.
know if that's
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
So right now, what we want to do is we just want to filter our data, so we will get so we can have the ID. You remember, like when we were talking about the recommendation part, uh, I think so. I just closed that. So here, when we talked about the recommendation part, there we needed an ID of uh, the track, so we can like produce recommendation according to that song ID. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just fetch this the song's ID, the first song ID that came in our search. So for that, Postman provide us with pre-request scripts and tests. Like pre-request scripts are those which we require to run if we are running, if we want to run something before the request is being sent to a specific URL, and the tests are when we get the response. So as we're dealing with the response right now, uh, we're just gonna deal with the test right now. So here, and by the way, it's basically Node.js. So uh, the test part supports Node.js. So I'll be writing in JavaScript. So firstly, let's fetch the body part of the response. Yep. And I just need to console.log body. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna go to the console, and there you can see that we have tracks, and there you can see there are 7 items that it had fetched, and there you can see the artist is most probably Taylor Swift. Yep, and there you can see, yeah, you can also find the name of the song here, if you would like, if you would like. If you just want to study it, you can do it yourself. But we're just gonna fetch the ID in the items part. So this ID we need to fetch, so we can make recommendations according to that. Okay, perfect. So what we need to do is we just need to fetch the first track, and okay, so this is our body. What we are doing is we're just gonna access the tracks field, and after that, then we have the items, and yep, and the item we are just gonna fetch the first item because like that's the most relevant. So, and let's console log first track. Okay, so this is the response, and you can see that this is the first item that we had fetched. So what we need to do is, what we need to do now is we just need to fetch its ID. So what we can do is we can just grab the ID field of it, and first track ID is equals to first track dot ID, and let's console log that as well. Save it, send the request. Yeah, you can see that the ID of our first track is with us right now. So, yep. So, this is the main part. Like now, we are just gonna move this ID to recommendation stuff, and before that, we just need to store this ID in our collections variable. So, Postman offered this property called as collection variable, and basically there are two things that we can do with them. We can get or set. So right now, as we need to save this ID, so we're just going to use the set thing, and I'm going to make a new variable called as track ID, and first track ID is going to be in that. So there you can see like we are just storing a variable named as track ID, in which we are storing our ID. So send this the request, and now if we go to our variables part, close that. So you can see there's a track ID, and it's having the value of uh, the ID of our first search. So, and before moving on, you can see there are two things, like there's initial value and the current value. So basically, initial value means that the value that is there by default, that if you share this collection with someone else, then these values would be there for them. So ideally, there must be a difference between initial value and current value. But right now, as we are not sharing this with anyone, so it won't matter anymore. So let's go there, and so we have grabbed our first ID. Congratulations if you are following along, and Now we just have to work on our recommendation part. So let's go to the documentation and okay. So now you can see there is like seed genres and seed tracks and seed artists. We are gonna go with the seed tracks parameter, and let's create a new request here by the name of get recommendations. Okay, and as you remember, we have already created the page URL, so no need to create it again. And there we will be having a new URL in which we have added the recommendation. And there we need to add uh, seed. Let me get the correct spelling for that. Seed track. So okay, seed tracks, and these seed tracks need to have a track. Uh, it would be having an ID. So what we can send is we just need to send our track ID here. Perfect. So let's send this request and see what happens. Okay, you can see we got recommendations, and here we can see be with you. Sounds pretty similar with that. And yeah, so we're getting a lot of recommendations, but obviously we will not be requiring all of them. We will be going for the top three. So um perfect on this end. We just got the recommendations out of our track ID. What we need to do is we just need to figure out a way to fetch this data and then like show it to the blogger. Like obviously blogger might not be a programmer, so he will be requiring data in some visual form. So let's move to the test and see what we are getting as response. And we again console logging that. Okay. You can see that basically we're getting recommendations out of our one song. On the base of our one song, we are getting 20 recommendations. So we'll be fetching only three of them, and then we will be displaying them. So what we need to do is we need to uh, first create our basically we're just going to create a web page kind of thing, not super interactive, but like just we can show our data. So let's remove this part and let's use feature of postman called as template, and here you can add the tags as well. Okay. So H1. So the other thing that we need to do here is like we need to fetch our track as well, so we can say that song similar to the track we are talking about. And how we can do that? Because like as you remembered, we have specified our where it was? Yeah, we have specified our tracks and our artist here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create our track name into a variable as track. I'm gonna set that as track, and then I'm just gonna put the artist as variable. Okay, so okay, so you can see like we got our artist and track as variable. Let's save it. No, not this one. Let's save this. Uh, just like fight again. Mm, yeah, we're getting the response. For this again. Yeah, we are pretty good here. And let's fetch the track. And how we gonna fetch it? We're just gonna use the collection variables get request. So previously we were just setting the variable ID. Now we're just fetching that the name of the track. So what I'm gonna do here is just pm dot collection variable dot get, and I'm gonna add the name of the variable. And this is our cons template. And now in order to visualize this, Postman provides us the visualizer, and we need to set it to template and then the name of the variable that we are just that we need to pass into our template. So here when I will be writing track, I'll be most probably getting the name of the track. So let's send it and see what happens. Okay, I'm not getting the response I wanted. I just make it here. I think so. I need to visualize it. Yeah. Now, so you can see that song similar to, and then there's a variable, and you can change the name of the song. You can change the name of the artist according to your choice of recommendation. So what we need to do is we just need to make a list of songs that are similar to our song to continue your. So in here we can just get the response as body, and from that body we just need to take the three topmost songs, and let's again console log that and see how we are getting the data in console. Okay, so you can see there's an object in which there's a field called as track, and we need to fetch these top three tracks. And in order to fetch them, there's a function called a slice that Node uses, and we can easily get the top three songs by slicing our body object. Okay. So we are getting basically we will be getting top three songs here, and you can even console out there and see what they are. Uh, I think I should do that as well. So look at these songs and just to counter check like we are okay with that. And yeah, we are getting three songs, and we just need to fetch. Now what we need to do is we need to fetch their names, and just like fetch their names and then display them uh, display them in a list. So basically, the first one is the Paris. Then we have waking up, and then there's uh, hmm, never heard about it. So okay, let's move to the template and let's make a list here. Okay, so as you can see, like there would be three songs, and we want to make it dynamic. So I don't want to like display one song. Like I don't want to make it static. So just like we will be making it dynamic through a loop, and here we can use each loop. Like for each, it's pretty much similar, and then we will be iterating through the top three tracks or top three songs, and then just close that with slash each. And what I need to do is I just need to put here ally tag, and in those ally tag I need to add the field that I'm going to access. So basically it's just grabbing the first object, which is like it would be grabbing the zeroth object, and then in that object any field that we want to access, like in this case we want to access the name, we're just gonna put its name there. And yep, I think so we're pretty much there. But yeah, there's one more thing. Like we also need to send the object, or like the object that we are trying to display in the visualizer. So here we have sent the track. We need to send top three songs as well, and let's send them and see what we get. So, ta-da, we got three recommendations, and on the basis of that, we can see that it's giving us basically pretty much the recommendation system of the Spotify works like we have made the authorization, and then it's recommending us on the basis of the artist and the song and anything that comes in that between. So, yep, we are done with that. And the last thing as an add-on we can do is like we can add a link here as well. So if anybody wants to listen to that song as well, we can use a tag, href, and there we need to add another field. We'll just get the name of the field. So yep. So you can see there's an external URLs, and in that external URL there's a Spotify uh, field in which you can, in which you, if like you just copy and paste that, it's just gonna run. No more stuff about that. So I'm just gonna add the external URLs dot Spotify, and let's call it play, and yep, let's run this and see what we get in response. Okay, so the response doesn't look good. Let's add some space here. Now send it again. Okay, so now you can see we're getting the name as well as the link for the song. If anybody wants to listen to that, let's see if it works. I don't know, due to some reason it's not working, but yeah, yeah. Yeah, it has started working. So yeah, I think so. You just need to close that. So that was it. Like we have created the authentication system, then we have fetched the ID for the track, then we have fetched the recommendations, and at last we have visualized that. So yep, I think so. I should turn off my screen now. Yep.
Awesome, awesome, Anik. I mean, you have done a lot, really. I mean, the whole
Thanks.
workflow. I mean, it's not a, it's not a very kind of very easy task, really. I mean, a practical part is very, we have to very much aware about what audience are expecting and all. So, I mean, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
So, taking on the slides, right? So I'll update these things on the the challenge what we are having on the challenge too. I'll soon update it because right now we are having the different challenge in the API week Gitbook, but we will update up with this challenge, right? And Anik, if you would like to take this, what is it? Then definitely it would be much better.
Sure. So, what you need to do is like, as we have worked with Spotify, you can work with any other API as well. But right now, we are just focusing on Spotify because like their documentation is super amazing, and you can find a lot of it there. So what you need to do is you just need to build a workflow, just that I did there, and then you just need to generate 5 song recommendations uh, instead of 3, and you need to make scale it to 3 artists. So right now our workflow is just concerned with one artist, like uh, which we weren't talking about Taylor Swift. So what you need to do is you need to build a workflow in which you would be requiring 3 artists, and on the basis of 3 artists you will be generating 5 song recommendations.
So it will be basically 15 recommendations, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, folks, this will be the task. I will replace it with the API week one Gitbook. I just mentioned it for the workspace one, but it was wrong, right? So we will soon follow up you with the email, right? As I'm already doing it. And yeah, your part.
Yeah, and what workflows could you make? So you can create a playlist. Like you can search the documentation, and you can see that the most songs played. You can work on that. Then you can make a playlist of songs with no words. Like if just anybody wants to, just like it clicks,
It's
and
like,
then the songs
I think
song
it's like lo-fi, right?
yeah, and no, it's basically like you have to create a workflow in which if anybody clicks a button, then songs just starts playing out of nowhere.
Okay,
So without
okay,
any uh, artist or any song recommend any
oh,
tracks, and then you can use the recommendation stuff, and on the basis of the track you are right now having, so you need to fetch the name and the artist of that track, and then you have to put in the workflow that I created. So yep, you can, and you can work on anything else if you want. If you like study Spotify API, you can find a lot of stuff there.
awesome.
And yep, and the last thing is regarding the student expert. So this is the certification that has helped me a lot, and this was basically my first certification in the API field, and it's like right now it's industry standard. You have to have this this Postman certification. So it's not a big deal. You can easily complete it in 2 or 3 days, but like you can learn a lot from here. So do check out for that. And yep, looking forward you and the
Yeah, I
student
mean,
expert.
yeah, all the student leaders are very first certified with the Postman student expert, right? I mean, then they are gonna have some workshop kind of stuff, and then they will promote as a leader. So yeah, this is the first step. So make sure to check it out as well. Here's the link of the Postman student program. You can just go check out. There are a lot of programs. So you have to first register for expert, and I think they will flow the G form, right? Google form, and yeah. So that's a basically Postman student expert certification means. Any Q&A, like if you do have any kind of questions, then definitely you can come up with. This is the right time, and I can see there are some buzz in the chat. Hi Deepak, I hope you're doing well. I mean, yeah, I'm wearing C sharp corner tees that I have gotten from the one of the event, right? Empowering it.
Sure. So if you have any query regarding the workflow or
For
anything
sure.
regarding,
Any kind of stuff,
yeah,
we'll
go
happy to
ahead.
answer. And I can see one question. I don't know. It's related to stream or something. Can I get the StreamYard link? I mean, if you are looking for to invite you as a speaker, then definitely you have to come up with student expert certification and then lead, and then I will definitely gonna invite you. If you wanna work with community, then yeah, cool. So yeah, I wore it. Cool, definitely. I think yeah, you should. Cool. So anything else we left it out? Let me just quickly check it. No. Cool. So I think, folks, we really don't have any kind of valid questions in the chat. So it's a very time to wrap up, right? Let me just call all the speakers on the stage and wave more welcome. So Mithil is here. Hi Mithil. I mean, you both are really awesome. I already did this. I shared it your link on the social links here, and if I think Anik, would you like to share your social handles? Then I can
Sure, sure.
show it on the up screen.
Do I have to send you?
No,
Okay,
no, in
okay.
the private chat only.
Sure, sure.
That
I'll
would
let.
works fine. Cool. Awesome, Mithul. So if you would like to add something, Mithul, then definitely you can regarding any kind of certification or any kind of stuff if you want to mention.
So, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So, if there is any question, I would love to hear from my part because I was kind of working with the theoretical part, right? So that was it, I guess. I don't have anything to add right now. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm sharing the LinkedIn link of Anik. Do follow him, right? And we are soon coming up with Bhilai hacks. We are team working really hard for the event on a successful. But as of now, we are targeting API week, and this API week is for all state to all the countries. We are doing cross collaboration to women empowerment and everything. So make sure to check it out as well. And thank you so much, folks. See you there.
Thank you so much.